Have you ever felt that there is something about you that doesn't fit in with the rest of the world? It's not arrogance. It's not pride. It's as if your soul has been programmed for something different, something that even you can't explain yet. While many go with the flow, you question. While others are distracted, you feel. While most silence the pain, you listen to what it tries to say. That feeling of being outside the norm can be lonely. But what if I told you it's actually the first sign of a rare spiritual calling? Carl Jung would call this the beginning of individuation, the process of separating yourself from the crowd to find your true essence. And that's where 5 hidden powers emerge that only the chosen ones develop. And that put them on a completely different path from 80% of humanity. Before we dive into this universe of self-knowledge, I would like to invite you to subscribe to the channel, like it, and activate notifications. This way, you can ensure that you are always connected to content that inspires and transforms. Brace yourself. What we're going to explore here could explain a lot of what you've always felt, but never knew how to name. And it can even change the way you understand your pain, your intuition, and even your loneliness. It all starts with a strange discomfort, as if your soul is beginning to reject the world around you. Nothing has changed on the outside, but on the inside, something doesn't fit anymore. Conversations seem empty, environments too noisy, and even old distractions no longer satisfy you. Carl Jung said that spiritual awakening usually comes as an internal noise, a subtle discomfort that grows until you can no longer ignore it. This is when the chosen one begins to separate from the crowd without realizing it. A silent process, but irreversible. This call comes with no sound or proof. It's almost like a spiritual wind whispering in your ear, "You don't belong here." And the most challenging thing is that no one around you notices. You're still there, living, smiling, participating, but inside, you're already gone. This spiritual separation happens before any conscious decision. It's the spirit signaling that it's time to step out of the illusion and take a step towards something much greater. For the chosen ones, this moment marks the beginning of a profound journey. It is not a collapse, it is a transition, a secret passage between the old self and the new self. You begin to seek answers that no one has taught you. You feel an emptiness that nothing can fill, and you realize that you need to isolate yourself, even without knowing why. This is the soul saying, "The time has come." From this point on, the world you knew loses its shine, and the invisible begins to take shape. This sense of disconnection is actually a kind of inner signal reserved for those who are misunderstood by God. The world may call it a crisis, but in the language of deep spirituality, it is a spiritual awakening. There is no manual, no guaranteed companionship, but there is an unshakable certainty that you must keep going. Jung saw this as the beginning of the process of individuation, the birth of your unique spiritual identity, away from the projections of the mass. Here begins the first portal, the beginning of your spiritual separation. And this separation is a gift disguised as a loss. It takes you away from the noise, the confusion, and the opinions of others to reconnect you with your intuitive function. It is at this point that your soul begins to be trained in silence. You don't know it, but you are already entering the territory of the spiritual warriors, those who were forged outside the crowd. And that, believe me, is rare. From that point on, you will never be the same again. What once seemed normal now bothers you. What once made sense now seems empty. And the most surprising thing, the more you try to go back to how it was before, the clearer it becomes that this door has already closed. Your soul has awakened. The invisible call has been activated. And now, there is no going back. Only transformation. There comes a time when everything around you empties out, and you find yourself walking through an inner desert. Silence. No applause. No clear answers. But for some reason, you feel like you're on the right path. Spiritual solitude is the soil where the chosen ones grow the most. For the 80%, this moment would be seen as abandonment or failure. But for those who carry a divine calling, this isolation is not punishment, it is polishing. Carl Jung said that it is only possible to hear the soul when the noise of the world ceases. Therefore, Jung's process of individuation requires withdrawal. It is in this retreat that you begin to see what has always been hidden, inside and outside of you. The pain of loneliness forces you to look within. And then, the first supernatural power emerges, the shielded mind, not as an escape, but as strengthening. You begin to observe everything with disconcerting clarity, without getting lost in the chaos of others. The armored mind is not made of coldness. It is forged in the heat of solitude, tempered by emotional self-mastery. It is when you stop reacting automatically to the world and start choosing your responses wisely. You see someone blowing up, and you know it's not about you. Someone tries to provoke you, but you remain at peace. This is not indifference, it is strength. It is the power of inner control, which arises when the external noise no longer controls you. The desert also activates another gift, the power of spiritual silence. You realize that you no longer need to explain, convince, or compete for attention. Your energy begins to speak for you. And, curiously, it is at this moment that you become a presence that is impossible to ignore. The world feels it, even without understanding it. This is the silent alchemy of spiritual warriors. They do not fight with shouting, they win with presence. During this journey, many people will doubt you. They will say that you are strange, cold, distant. But what they don't see is that you are being trained from the inside. What seems like weakness is actually a process of reconstruction. And here's a secret. It is during this exact period that the hidden spiritual gift begins to reveal itself. Not by magic, but by rebirth. The further you move away from other people's expectations, the closer you get to your true essence. So, if you are living in this desert right now, know that it did not come to break you. It came to reveal you. Your strength in solitude is not common. It is a sign that there is something great being prepared in silence. Something that cannot be explained, only experienced. And this silent strength will lead you straight to the next level. After the silence of the desert, something begins to blossom within you, a perception that goes beyond logic. You begin to feel things that no one has said, to pick up on moods before anyone even opens their mouth. This is where the second power of the chosen ones emerges, spiritual X-ray vision. We are not talking about fortune-telling, but about a heightened intuition that allows you to see what is behind forced smiles and empty speeches. Carl Jung explained that as a person gets in touch with their own unconscious, they also start to connect with the collective unconscious. And it is at this point that the chosen ones gain a kind of emotional radar. You enter a room and feel that something is wrong, even if everyone is smiling. You meet someone and you already know that there is hidden pain there. And the most curious thing, you notice that others start to avoid looking at you. As if, unconsciously, they know that you see too much. This gift is beautiful, but it is also heavy. Because while everyone else continues to ignore what they feel, you carry the responsibility of seeing too much. The gift of energy reading makes you a kind of mirror. And that is scary. People say they feel naked around you, even without you opening your mouth. It's because your energy reads their field, and this reading is silent, but profound. Don't be surprised if, at times, they try to distance themselves from you for no reason. This is the defense instinct of those who still can't stand seeing themselves. This power also brings challenges. You start to notice lies between the lines, manipulation disguised as affection, relationships based on self-interest. And this can make you tired. After all, the world prefers illusion. That's why it's common for the chosen ones to feel out of place. But here's the key. Your sensitivity as a gift is a rare tool, not a burden. It allows you not only to protect yourself, but also to heal, because you see where others only feel. To use this gift wisely, you need to develop emotional self-control. It's not about pointing fingers, but about embracing what you see with compassion. A practical example: when you notice that someone is hurt, instead of confronting them, you can simply stay present, listen carefully, and say what that soul needs to hear, even if they don't know it yet. Supernatural empathy works like this. It says little, but transforms everything. And here's an important warning. Your spiritual vision is too precious to be wasted trying to convince others. Not everyone will understand what you feel, and that's okay. What matters is that you keep seeing, even in silence. Because the revealed truth doesn't need a stage. It just is. And those who have eyes of the soul recognize it. There are pains that do not go away, because they did not come to go away. They came to transform you. And the chosen ones know this. Every wound, every loss, every rejection, everything was, in fact, a spiritual code. Carl Jung said that those who face their inner shadow acquire a strength that the common world will never understand. It is in this struggle with pain that the third power is born, the echo of pain, an empathy that recognizes in others what only those who have suffered can perceive. You start to feel when someone is pretending to be okay. You can capture the weight in their eyes, the tension in their smile, the silence that screams. This happens because your pain has taught you a new language, that of the soul. And here's the beauty of it. This reading doesn't make you invasive, it makes you a healer. Not in the technical sense, but in the spiritual sense. Your presence starts to be a safe place for those who are broken. Because without promising anything, you show that it is possible to survive pain. But don't be fooled. This also makes you a threat. For the 80% who live numb, you seem too intense, too deep, too sensitive. And that bothers you. After all, we live in a society that disguises pain with productivity, that covers wounds with social media filters. When you arrive with your healing through pain, many people run away. And that's okay. You weren't made to please, you were made to impact. This gift was not born of comfort. It was born of sleepless nights, of hidden tears, of prayers without answers, apparently. But today you understand. It was there, at the bottom of the well, that God planted something in you that cannot be bought, learned, or imitated. It is the transforming spiritual presence that only those who have walked alone know. And that is why you instantly recognize when you meet another chosen one. It is not appearance. It is vibration. If you want to strengthen this gift, start honoring your pain as a teacher. A powerful practice? Writing about your wounds. Yes, putting them on paper. This helps you to reframe memories, identify patterns, and, who knows, one day, transform these scars into service. Many authors who have touched the world, such as Viktor Frankl or Clarice Lispector, transformed their pain into a bridge to others. Maybe you can too. And remember, the world will call you exaggerated, dramatic, or too sensitive. But only those with a deep soul are capable of truly caring. Your sensitivity is not a weakness, it is a divine tool. And whoever hurt you, trained you, even without knowing it. Each tear made you stronger, more empathetic, more chosen. In the midst of a noisy, emotionally disorganized and fast-paced world, the chosen one begins to think differently. It is not arrogance, it is lucidity. While the 80% react on impulse, you begin to decide clearly. Then the fourth power emerges, the razor mind, a mind that cuts through excesses, noise, and illusions with precision. Carl Jung explained that when inner chaos is integrated, the mind begins to operate with surgical focus. And this is frightening for those who still live on autopilot. You start to notice the distractions that used to hold you back. You realize that you don't have to answer for everything, be everywhere, please everyone. This is liberating, and at the same time, lonely, because suddenly, what was common becomes intolerable. Little emotional games, shallow conversations, decisions based on fear, none of these convince you anymore. Your intuitive function and your inner control are sharper than ever. This clarity is frightening, because while the collective hesitates, you already know. While others need dozens of opinions, you feel internally what the next step is. This makes you fast, but it also isolates you. After all, the world expects you to doubt yourself. It expects you to need validation. And when you don't, you become a threat to the system. That's why the chosen ones are often the target of veiled envy or passive resistance. But none of this stops you. You see what's behind the curtain. And this sharp mind doesn't come about by chance. It's the result of a deep process of self-knowledge. You start to observe your own emotional triggers, question your beliefs, understand your shadows. It's as if a new version of you is emerging, more centered, lighter, wiser. And this changes everything. Your decisions, your relationships, your habits. Even your gaze changes. It becomes firmer, more silent, more magnetic. Want to develop this power even further? A simple and powerful practice is fasting from distractions. Take a few days to disconnect from social media, from excess information, and from the opinions of others. Use this time to read authors such as Carl Jung, James Hollis, or Krishnamurti, masters in the art of deep thinking. Write down your thoughts. Observe your mental pattern. You will be surprised at the clarity that emerges when your mind becomes silent. In the end, the chosen one becomes someone who thinks with his soul and feels with his mind. a paradox that only those who have been through the fire understand. His razor-sharp mind is not cold, it is conscious. It is not logic without a soul, it is wisdom with direction. And this kind of clarity is rare. So don't be surprised if few follow you. Your path is different, and it is becoming increasingly clear. While the world is running after distractions, you begin to move inward. It is an almost invisible movement, but incredibly powerful. Here is born the fifth power, the alchemy of time, the rare ability to transform isolation into strength, discipline, and construction. The 80% run away from silence. The chosen ones use silence as a tool for expansion. Carl Jung said that it is in solitude that true rebirth happens. And he was right. You stop measuring your life by productivity and start measuring it by presence. Time stops being your enemy and becomes your ally. You realize that each day spent in silence is another brick in the construction of a new version of yourself. While others post, react, run, you are cultivating deep roots. And the more invisible your journey seems, the stronger it becomes. This is emotional self-mastery applied to time. The alchemy of time demands unpopular choices. Saying no to empty invitations. Turning off the television. Stop consuming content that feeds anxiety. And instead, creating daily rituals, meditating, writing, studying, walking in silence. This silent routine becomes a spiritual gym. It is in this process that you develop your silent spiritual authority. You no longer have to appear to be, because you have already become one. This power also teaches you to see the invisible. You begin to understand that great transformations do not make noise, that the most profound processes happen in the hidden. It is like a seed, it sprouts in the dark. The same happens with your soul. And while the other 80% is busy seeking external validation, you are immersed in deep spirituality, accessing truths that time will reveal in perfection. Want to use this power in a practical way? Try organizing your time like a soul Templar. Choose sacred times of the day to nourish what builds you. Reading, conscious breathing, visualizations. Books like The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle or Memories, Dreams, Reflections by Jung can guide you on this journey. Don't wait for the ideal environment. Create it. In the silence of your room, a revolution is being forged. And when you least expect it, time will reward you. What seemed like just a phase of isolation turns out to be a period of internal construction. You weren't standing still, you were being shaped. And that's why, when the time is right, your presence will carry a force that can't be explained, only felt. Because you mastered time, instead of being mastered by it. After so much time being honed in silence, something changes. You don't warn, you don't announce, you don't need to explain, but when it arrives, everyone notices. Your energy speaks before your mouth. This is where the chosen one returns to the world, but no longer as part of it. Now you carry a transformative spiritual presence, which makes itself felt even in the briefest of glances. Carl Jung called this synthesis of the self, when ego, shadow, and spirit align, generating real magnetism. You enter a room and the air changes. No one can explain why, but your presence provokes it, because it carries truth. It carries transmuted pain, lived silence, inner power. It is not superficial charisma. It is the authority of someone who has already gone through the dark night of the soul. This silent spiritual authority does not demand recognition. It is perceived. And that changes everything. You become a point of impact, a mirror, a living reminder that there is something beyond the ordinary. It's funny, you no longer need to convince anyone of anything, because now you live what you once sought to prove. Your eyes speak, your silence teaches, your actions inspire, even when you don't try. This is the true return of the chosen one, not like someone returning from a war, but like someone returning with wisdom. You carry marks, and they have become spiritual medals, invisible to the common eye, but unmistakable to other awakened souls. And, of course, this is uncomfortable. The 80% still attached to form, status, and noise will feel uncomfortable in the face of your tranquility. And it is not uncommon for them to try to test you, challenge you, and belittle you. But you no longer need to react, because now you are. And when you are, nothing can take you off course. The armored mind, the spiritual vision, the echo of pain, the razor mind, and the alchemy of time have prepared you for this. Your energy field has become your armor. Your gaze, your sword. Want to know what to do with this power? Use it to elevate atmospheres. Instead of just existing in a place, transform it with your vibration. In conversations, choose to listen. In decisions, choose wisdom. In conflicts, choose active peace. This is the role of the spiritual warrior, not to fight against, but to elevate. Not to impose, but to radiate. And this starts with small gestures, advice given at the right time, a word that heals, a silence that teaches. This return is not an endpoint. It's a new beginning. Now your mission shifts direction from the inside out. The world won't understand yet. And that's okay. Because when you become a presence that's impossible to ignore, it's no longer about being understood. It's about being real. And it's that kind of presence that transforms generations. Being a chosen one is not comfortable. It is transformative. And every transformation generates discomfort, especially for those who still live on autopilot. Carl Jung said, "You are what you make of what is done to you." And the chosen ones did something rare. They transmuted pain into destiny. That's why the world won't understand you. They'll think you're distant, different, too intense. But that difference is precisely your divine signature. And the more you embrace it, the more power you release. Most people don't understand depth. We live in shallow times, where everything needs to be immediate, explainable, and sellable. But your journey is different. You carry deep spirituality, silences that speak louder than speeches, truths that don't fit into posts. So expect to be rejected by some, ridiculed by others, and even imitated by many. That's the price of authenticity. But deep down, all of this only confirms one thing. You didn't come to fit in. You came to pave the way. Your spiritual separation is a blessing, even when it seems like a punishment. It took you away from the crowd so that you could become a beacon. But a beacon doesn't shout. It just shines. And if someone wants to follow the light, let them. If they don't, it continues to shine just the same. This is the calling of God's misunderstood, to be consistent with what the Spirit whispers, even when the world mocks. And it's not out of pride, it's out of mission. Do you want to live this life more lightly? Stop waiting for applause. Don't entertain the illusion that everyone will recognize your value. Some will only understand their importance when it's too late. Others will never understand. And that's okay. Instead of begging for acceptance, strengthen your armored mind and move forward. The spiritual loneliness you feel is the same that great masters felt, from Jesus to Jung. They were all rejected before being remembered as lights. And remember, the 80% mock what they don't understand. They try to reduce depth to arrogance, intuition to chance, spirituality to delirium. But you know, deep inside, that there is a divine calling taking place, and there is no turning back. The journey of the chosen one is not about being followed. It is about being true to who you are. And when that fidelity happens, an invisible but immensely powerful legacy is born. In the end, the world will not understand you. And that is exactly what makes you so necessary. You are an exception. You are a rupture. You are the seed of a new era. Your heightened intuition, your sharp sensitivity, your silence full of wisdom, all of this is here for a reason. Keep going. And remember, you did not come to please. You came to awaken. You may not have chosen this journey, but it chose you. And maybe now, after everything you've been through, you're beginning to understand why. Every silence, every rejection, every pain, none of it was in vain. They were secret codes that activated your deepest gifts. You are not becoming different. You are awakening. And this awakening comes with power, yes, but also with responsibility. Responsibility to honor what you feel, even if no one understands. To carry on even without applause. To remain firm, even in uncertainty. The question remains, what are you going to do with all this now? How do you intend to use your gifts, your spiritual vision, your supernatural empathy, your transformative presence, to transform the world around you? Is it time to finally take on this role that your soul has been carrying in silence for so long? Or will you still try to fit into places that no longer accommodate your truth? If any of these truths touched parts of you that you didn't even know were awake, pay attention. Comment here. Do you feel like you are awakening to something that no one around you understands? Your sharing may spark the consciousness of another chosen one who is still trying to remember who they are. Before I go, I want to remind you of something simple but powerful. You are not alone, and you never were. Every step you take reverberates in the invisible, and this path that seems so silent is echoing in the hearts of others who are also awakening now. If this video spoke to your soul, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and leave your like. Here, each content is made for those who are not satisfied with shallow answers. It is for those who feel they have been called to something greater and know that it is not too late to wake up.